Hello guys, here talking about the box office, and I think Morbius is a flop. I think Morbius is a flop, and right, I don't think they have the international numbers yet because they don't ever update it until like later in the day, and I don't want to wait till later today to cover the box office. But Morbius is a box office failure. The movie only made $49 million domestically. Here. Oh, it does have international, so $44 million. So this movie has $35 million budget. Okay. $75 million budget, which is not a big budget. It's not like Doc Phoenix's $200 million budget. But at this current moment, this movie has made half of its budget back. It has passed its budget at least. So, again, what nobody gives a crap about what Rotten Tomatoes says. I think really no one gives a crap about what they say because Rotten Tomatoes, they'll say a movie's really bad, but it actually isn't really that bad. There's a lot of like back in the day, that kind of was the case because the critics were actually they weren't dumb as they are now. Now they basically just judge movies based off wokeness, politics. Okay, the movie isn't political, 0 out of 10, or the movie isn't doesn't have any quote unquote representation, 0 out of 10. Okay, they don't really judge movies objectively anymore. Okay, that's why I say don't trust the critics. Don't believe what they say. Watch the movie and judge it for yourself. And I think a lot of people are going to be doing that. This movie's gonna probably drop really bigly because of course it's competing with Sonic, which is coming out next week. And if you look at the YouTube video, the Blu-ray week, yeah, no one really is interested in this movie, but it still has opened higher than a lot of movies last year, which is pretty hilarious to see that this movie is doing better than a lot of movies. I think if this movie was gonna be a failure, this movie would open to like $40 to $50 million worldwide if it had $100 million budget. But this movie might actually make back its money, which will be a big fu to Rotten Tomatoes and the quote unquote movie critics. Okay, because you have all the fundamentals, they'll go, but Rotten Tomatoes says, but even explain that they hate Rotten Tomatoes so much, but they'll, look at the critic reviews and say, oh yeah, this movie sucks, this movie's gonna flop because Rotten Tomatoes, okay, says the movie's bad. Okay, the audience score is I think it's 63. Google was like 70%, like the movie, you know. Again, and IMDb, I think it's like a 5 out of 10. The average score on IMDb is like a 5 out. I think it is. I think it is going up. But yeah. But yeah, Morbius, $84 million. Even if it's a 2 times the original gross, so 85 times, I think 80 times 2 is 160. This movie has a $75 million budget, which means this movie will barely make money. Okay, this movie will barely make money. It will barely make money if it's a 2 times the original opening as well. If it ends up like $80 million domestically, $80 million. If we can compare this to movies like Venom opened to 90 million and it was 215 million. I think this is gonna be like Venom's type of way. So 49 million, which means it will barely do 2 times. So 49, 40 times 2 is 80. So it'll probably do around 90 million domestically and around $100 million. I'll probably do around 110 million, $200 million worldwide, which means this movie will probably make back its money. Which is something that Rotten Tomatoes definitely does not want to hear today, because Rotten Tomatoes does not really a trustworthy source. In this movie, yeah, they still don't have international sales for the Lost City, which is a very, very, very bad thing for this movie, for a $34 million budget movie. It's very, very bad that this movie is doing extremely poorly internationally, with 0 sales reported. And we have release info for the Lost City. It's where is it coming out outside of America? That's the real question. Yeah, it came out in Argentina. And yeah, it's not really big markets. It's coming out to big markets around the end of the month. So we'll see how this movie fares in international markets. Outside of course America and Poland and Mongolia and Turkey. They're not really big markets, okay? Indonesia is probably the biggest market besides America, probably released. So I think that, yeah, it's coming out in big markets, coming out in India, and then finally on the 13th, it's coming out in Spain, Australia, UK and Finland, and it's coming out in Korea and all the rest of the countries, as well. So, yeah, this movie is not really doing too well internationally, okay? But it's gonna be like The Boss Baby, or The Boss Baby, well, the movie has done poorly internationally because it only released in 2 countries. So, it's only released in like 2 countries. So, this movie will probably make back its money. It's 3.7 million international at this current moment. So the movie has made for $57 million worldwide, which is abysmal. If for international sales, this is abysmal sales. And I know a lot of people like this movie, which means we're probably not be seeing a sequel or anything, another non-franchise movie flopping and bombing at the box office, because it's not gonna get it. It's because if you have a movie only successful in domestic but doesn't really make money internationally, it's like a big budget movie, the movie's gonna be a flop. Because if it makes $100 million domestically, it has a $200 million budget, but only makes $100 million, it doesn't really make much money internationally, then the movie's a box office failure, because it doesn't really make anything internationally. Okay? As well. So the next is The Batman. With The Batman, it has passed $700 million worldwide. It's not doing as well as Spider-Man. It's not gonna probably make $1 billion, but it's doing pretty well worldwide. Batman has made $700 million worldwide. Is doing extremely well for a movie like that. So Batman. Next is Uncharted. Which Uncharted is still in the fetus. It's still made $363 million worldwide off a $120 million budget. Here. So yeah, the next is Uncharted. Next is Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man is still here. We're still talking about Spider-Man. Okay, we're still talking about Spider-Man. It's good. Can it make $10 million more worldwide? I think it could. I think it probably could. They're still keeping it in theaters as long as possible. Okay, keeping Spider-Man in theaters as long as possible. Okay. Next is Dog. Okay, this movie has done really well for a non-franchise movie. It's one of the only 2 non-franchise movies that have made money this year. Okay, The Lost City, next is X. No one's watching this movie. The critics even telling you should buy this movie. They was doing like a simple campaign to the Alita one. We'll tell you must buy this movie, but no one's going to be buying this movie on Blu-ray. No one wants this movie in the theaters. They want to try to make up this money for flopping the box office, okay? Yeah, next is X box office failure. This movie, Sing 2. I really want to see how Sonic does next week, but we have to wait another week for Sonic. Okay, Sing 2 is reaching $400 million worldwide. That's funny. It's reaching $400 million worldwide. Right, $395 to $161 million domestically. And it's probably doing okay internationally. So, yep, that's basically about this video. Goodbye.